of you. Thank you very much for joining this weekly media briefing. I don't have any announcements as such. I will. I saw your hand first. I'll come to it. Yeah, go ahead.
So Rishabh from Times Now.
Okay.
So we have seen airstrikes in Myanmar territory very close to Indian borders, and 2 villages have been destroyed. The photos have come out. What's MEA's take on that? Indian MEA's take on that?
Which one? The recent one?
The recent one, the day before yesterday.
Okay, fair enough. Whose name was? Yeah, go ahead, Yash. I'll come to you.
Yeshi Seli from the New Indian Express. 2 questions. One, of course, on Qatar.
Let's start with one.
Okay, we'll start. Can you give us some insight on what is happening? These guys have been charged individually.
Qatar?
The naval officers. How long is the road ahead? Any chance of repatriation?
Okay, fair enough. Shailendra?
सर शैलेंद्र न्यूज़ 18 से आपने देखा होगा कि पाकिस्तान फॉरेन मिनिस्ट्री की तरफ से एक स्टेटमेंट आया है जहां पे उन्होंने कश्मीर में होने वाले G20 मीटिंग को लेकर आपत्ति जताई है. इस पर आपका रिएक्शन चाहता हूं.
I'll come to it. Yeah, Siddhant.
So Siddhant from Beyond. So we have seen China encircling Taiwan and doing military drills. How does India sees these developments, given that China has been provocative with India as well in past few weeks, including by coming out with new invented names?
Okay. I'll come to you. Let me next one.
So प्रणय उपाध्याय एबीपी न्यूज से. सर भारत में SCO देशों के रक्षा मंत्रियों की बैठक होनी है इसी महीने. क्या पाकिस्तान, चाइना या तमाम देशों की तरफ से इसके कंफर्मेशन आ गए हैं? और इसके बाद फॉरेन मिनिस्टर्स मीटिंग भी होनी है कुछ ही दिन में, तो इन दोनों मीटिंग्स के बारे में अगर आप बता सकें.
Let me start with your question, Rishabh. Look, we have seen disturbing reports of violence on April 11 near Kanbalu township in the Sagyan region, I think it's called, of Myanmar. As a neighbor and friend of the people of Myanmar, we have repeatedly called for cessation of violence by all sides and peaceful resolution of all issues. India reiterates its call for a return of peace, stability, and democracy in Myanmar. Yashi, on your question regarding Qatar, look, we have been trying to get you updates as we have. Of course, they don't always follow with our weekly schedule, so sometimes we are unable to get you a specific update. This week, as I mentioned to you, last time we were discussing, this is now in the legal process, more formal in the legal process. Let me emphasize that we are making all efforts to assist these Indians who are detained. And we are also extending consular assistance as well as legal assistance as part of the system legal process that is underway. We are also engaged with the Qatari authorities. Our embassy in Doha continues to remain in touch with the families. And I understand that the next date of the hearing, the last date I think was 29th of March, next date of the hearing is in early May. And we are trying to see what can be done before that and in connection with that hearing. I don't have any specific update apart from this. शैलेंद्र, आपने पूछा एक पाकिस्तान स्टेटमेंट था, उनका एक बयान था. देखिए, G20 के बारे में उन्होंने एक्चुअली कमेंट दोनों इश्यूज पे की थी, दोनों जगह के बारे में श्रीनगर उसमें. ये जो G20 के जो इवेंट्स हो रहे हैं, ये जो मीटिंग्स हो रही हैं, ये पूरे भारत में और मतलब भारत के हर क्षेत्र में हो रही हैं, ऑर्गेनाइज की जा रही हैं. और इसमें जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में और लद्दाख में करना बहुत नेचुरल है, और क्योंकि ये जगह हम हमेशा से भारत के अभिन्न और अविभाज्य अंग मानते हैं और हमारे हैं, इसीलिए मैं इतना ही कहूँगा कि हर क्षेत्र में कर रहे हैं और ये हमारा नेचुरल रिस्पॉन्स है कि हम यही करेंगे. Siddhant, on your comment, look, you made certain suppositions. I'm not getting into that. I think on the South China Sea, we have made our position quite clear. I don't have an immediate comment on the recent developments, but we have talked about a rules-based order and the need to maintain peace and resolve issues by dialogue, as well as our position on settlement of disputes there. As regards on a bilateral issues with China, you know our position. So I think those are slightly different, and we have been. I don't think there's a change in either of them with the recent developments. Pranay, you had mentioned. आपने पूछा था ये SCO कि अभी मीटिंग्स है कुछ, सिर्फ ये दोनों नहीं, आपने सिर्फ रक्षा मंत्रियों की बैठक की जिक्र की है और फॉरेन मिनिस्टर वाले भी है। देखिए मैं जैसा कहा, हम इनविटेशन सबको भेजते हैं, कॉन्फ्रेंस आते रहते हैं, मैं हर मीटिंग का उस तरह से कॉन्फर्मेशन रखता नहीं हूँ। आप आई नो मीडिया चाहते हैं कि हर मीटिंग हमें बता पाऊँ, पर मीटिंग के पहले पता चल जाना चाहिए। वो डिफरेंट मिनिस्ट्रीज भी हैंडल करती हैं। सर्टनली फॉरेन मिनिस्ट्री वाले मीटिंग के लिए हम आपको बता देंगे कैसा पार्टिसिपेशन है। हम तो एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे कि हर मेंबर अटेंड करे। ओके, नेक्स्ट राउंड, आई थिंक आई सॉ योर हैंड। वेलकम टू यू। या, गो अहेड।
Sir, Ayushi Gurwal from MEA. So, Ukrainian First Deputy Foreign Minister was here in New Delhi, and she has urged India to consider the participation of representatives from Ukraine for G20 meetings. And she's also said that President Zelensky would,
Sorry, could you repeat your question? She has urged participation of
Ukrainian officials, some representatives of Ukraine for G20 meetings, and she's also said that President Zelensky would be happy to speak on that.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
I wanted to know if there are any discussions on that, or if we are considering to invite any representative for Kiev, either virtually or physically.
Okay, fair enough. Shashank.
Thank you, sir. Shashank Matu from the Mint. The foreign minister is currently in Mozambique. There is a Total Energy operated project that has been, there is a 30% Indian stake by Indian oil companies, and it has been currently shuttered because of terrorist attacks and instability. This is expected, the restarting of this project is going to expectedly help with India's energy security. Does the foreign minister plan to raise this issue with the Mozambique government?
मधुरेंद्र मैं न्यूज़ नेशन से। सर, हाल की तस्वीरें डोकलाम के ट्राई जंक्शन से आई है, जहां पर काफी बिल्डअप चीन की तरफ से देखा जा रहा है और डिप्लॉयमेंट भी लगातार बढ़ते जा रहे हैं।
नहीं, ये कहाँ डिप्लॉयमेंट देखी जा रही है?
डोकलाम के ट्राई जंक्शन पे, जहां 2016 में हमारी और चीन के बीच काफी तनाव बढ़ा था, वहां पर काफी बिल्डअप देखा जा रहा है, डिप्लॉयमेंट भी देखा जा रहा है। क्या भारत ने इसको कंसर्न लिया है, और अगर लिया है तो क्या जवाब है?
जी, मैंने और एक हाथ देखा था। नहीं, शिंजा।
So first of all, there have been all these reports that India has called off trade talks with Britain because of all this Khalistan issues. You have, of course, spoken about it. But is a delegation going to London in the last week of April? And also, this would be the first time ever is an IIT going to be set up in Tanzania. Now that External Affairs Minister will also be.
It's got nothing to do with the other question, no?
No.
Okay, sorry, I was completely taken aback. Why don't I just come back to you
This
on
is
this?
the first time I think an IIT will be set up outside.
I'll come back to you on that one. Let me just come back to another question. There was one more hand I saw earlier. Oh, yours. Yeah, Kalol. I'll come back to the second questions in a minute.
Kalol from the Hindu. We saw the reports today that FEMA has been sort of slapped on BBC, and I'm not actually getting into that. I'm getting into the earlier concerns about Khalistan that India had with the United Kingdom.
Sorry, what? BBC or Khalistan? What is your question?
Yeah, the question is that
you get one question. Tell me what is your question.
Were you satisfied with the British response to your demands of action against the Khalistan elements in the United Kingdom? And is today's action against BBC an Indian response of British delay in acting against Khalistan elements?
Sorry, didn't get your question at all in the second part. I will come back to your first question. Okay, let me try this round of questions, or some of the second round I'll take. Ayushi, you asked about the issue of as you know, the first deputy foreign minister of Ukraine was here. Your specific question was whether invitation has been extended. You said to officials, and you said President of Ukraine would be happy to speak. Look, I think we have answered this question in the past on occasions, I think including by Foreign Secretary. To be honest, I have nothing to add to that for the moment in terms of participation. I think our Foreign Secretary had mentioned about the list of participants having been already declared. So I don't have any update on that. Shashank, on your query, look, I think External Affairs Minister is just about landing in Mozambique. I don't want to prejudge what he will discuss. Yes, of course, what you mentioned is an element there in our bilateral relationship. Whether he will take it up or not, let the visit happen, and hopefully we'll be able to get back to you with more info. मधुरेंद्र जी, ट्राई जंक्शन के ऊपर या दोकलाम इशू पे पिछले हफ्ते जब विजिट हुई थी हमारे भूटान के राजा आए थे, तो उस समय डिटेल में इस बारे में कहा गया था और बताया गया था कि हम किस तरह से देखते हैं और सिक्योरिटी सिचुएशन में किस तरह से हम नजर रखते हैं. मुझे उसके बाद और कुछ ऐड करने के लिए अभी है नहीं मेरे पास इस हफ्ते और कोई स्पेसिफिक. आपने जनरली कहा कि कुछ हो रहा है वहां पे, मैं कमेंट नहीं करना चाहूंगा. हाँ, मैं कह रहा हूँ तो जो सिक्योरिटी इश्यूज होती हैं उस पर हम नजर रखते हैं, जो नेसेसरी हम मेजर लेनी होती है हम लेते हैं, पर ऐसा कोई पर्टिकुलर अपडेट नहीं है मेरे पास. Shinjoy, on your specific issue of trade, I would refer you to the Ministry of Commerce, to be honest, but as far as I know, 24th to 28th or around that period, there is next round of talks on the India UK possible FTA. But if you want a little more details on that, let's leave it to the trade negotiators rather than me getting into the details. Your second question, I'll come back to you on that. I'll place it out. Kalol, your question I didn't understand, so let me answer what I understood, which I answered last week. Are we satisfied with action taken against the vandalism and attacks at the High Commission? Look, as I mentioned, the issue is not of satisfaction. We wanted to see action on the ground. We have been urging host countries, including the UK, to take action against those who vandalize the flag, and as well as our High Commission, identify them, take action as the perpetrators. My suggestion would be ask them on what action they've taken. We are certainly pressing them to continue to take measures to ensure security of premises, safety of our personnel, diplomatic and consular personnel who are there in London. So, and this is the ongoing conversation that we are having with the UK authorities. Next round of questions. Shinja, since your second question I didn't ask, could you ask it again? What was your second question?
For the first time since independence,
IIT.
India is looking to have an IIT outside the country. And this could well be in Tanzania. We also know that EM is going to go there. Is an announcement likely?
It's going to go there. Okay. Who had a second question? No, you've been asking. Yes. If there's something new or interesting, I'm happy to. Yeah.
The Deputy Foreign Minister of Ukraine had handed over a letter from President Zelensky for PM Modi. Was it only about humanitarian aid, or were there other things that?
Okay, letter. You want to know the letter? You hadn't asked a question, Neeraj. आप पूछे. Microphone.
सर, लेटर के बारे में ही था सवाल कि क्या उसमें प्रधानमंत्री
नीरज आइडेंटिफाई कर लीजिए.
नीरज न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया से.
थैंक यू.
क्या प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को पत्र में जेलेंस्की ने यूक्रेन आने के लिए आमंत्रित भी किया है?
Invite. You haven't asked a question. Sorry, I missed that.
So Sridhar from the Asian Age. This Qatar case, you mentioned that it's formally in the legal process. So does it mean have the charges been revealed to the Indian authorities? Exactly what our 8 former naval personnel have been booked under? And this is small clarification. You said FS has said that list of participants have already been declared. That's for the G20
summit. That's what the question was. Okay. Who else? And quick. Second questions are very quick. Okay, Shashank, go ahead.
So just to follow. Shashank wanted to survey Deputy Foreign Minister's visit. In the statement, it mentioned that she had requested that it might be an opportunity for Indian firms to participate in the reconstruction of Ukraine, particularly on infrastructure. Is there a sense of, did she put any more meat on the bones in terms of that proposal, what they were specifically looking for? And also, has the Ministry of External Affairs received any interest from Indian companies looking to participate in any infrastructure projects in Ukraine?
Infrastructure projects in Ukraine. Okay. Who had you? Pranay, go ahead.
So small clarification on another question. Clarification is पे कि ये आपने जो press release की deputy foreign का भी agreement का भी मिला है, तो possible difference इंडिया यूक्रेन के बीच में अगर आप थोड़ा सा बता सकें. और दूसरी चीज कि पेंटागन पेपर्स काफी ट्रेंच लीक हुआ है लास्ट वीक यूएस में, उसमें बहुत सारी डिस्टर्बिंग डिटेल्स हैं. तो भारत को लेकर क्या भारत की कुछ चिंताएं हैं उन पेपर्स को लेकर, क्योंकि उस पे काफी स्पाइंग या उसके डेटा हैं.
Whose hand was that? Manush?
This is relating to a recent report, media report on UN Democracy Fund, which was established around 2005 following joint efforts by India and US. The media report says that in fact the projects being implemented by the UN Democracy Fund, it is also going to George Soros's Open Society and Foundation and its associates. So while we are taking a very hardline stand on George Soros, so it seems India is not putting that kind of approach in allowing the George Soros Foundation to carry out these projects in various parts of the world. So do you have a comment on that?
Comment. Okay. There's a hand behind. Okay. Suhasini.
Just in addition to the other questions about Ukraine, firstly, I would like to clarify that there is no plan at present to include Ukraine in the G20 process as they were included last year during the Indonesian G20 summit. And the second is your reaction to a statement made by the Ukrainian Deputy Foreign Minister, who said that some of India's actions demonstrate an unbalanced position. She was specifically referring to the visits to Moscow by senior Indian ministers, including National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and said, why don't they come to Kiev as well to balance out India's position? How would you respond to this idea that by not going to Kiev, India has not demonstrated that it is balanced in the war?
Okay. There was some. Okay, that's it. Let me try to. There are a few second round questions. Let me see what I can. Shinja, yes, there have been talks of trying to get IITs there. I don't know about EM's visit to Tanzania. He went to Uganda and Mozambique, but IITs is something that we are working on. Once we have a confirmation, which will be the first one. I think there are a couple of places that discussions are going on, but yeah, Tanzania could be one of them. Once we have the good news, we'll certainly share with you. Yeshi, there were a few questions on Ukrainian Deputy Foreign Minister's visits and various elements. Yeshi, no, I will not be able to position to share the contents of that letter, much as though you would like it. We had issued, a detailed press release on what discussions covered, and that's a good sense of how the conversations went. You wanted to know it in that perspective, so let me not prejudge that already to your part of it. नीरज, आपका सवाल था कोई इनवाइट आया था उसमें. देखिए वो हाई लेवल विजिट्स इस तरह का आपने एग्जैक्ट इनवाइट क्या था? देखिए ऐसे उन्होंने, देखिए पत्र में क्या था मैं नहीं कह सकता, जैसे मैंने कहा ठीक नहीं होगा, पर उन्होंने खुद कहा था कि हम चाहेंगे कि वो आए प्रधानमंत्री. पर ऐसे विजिट्स जैसे आप जानते हैं हाई लेवल विजिट्स अभी इस तरह से अनाउंस नहीं होते हैं. अगर कुछ मेरे पास अपडेट हो तो जरूर आपको बताएंगे. As regards, let me just take the defense Ukrainian one. On the G20, Suhasini, your query, look, let me repeat what I said. The question was specific about, will India invite Ukrainian officials or president of Ukraine to address the G20? And my answer remains the same. We have answered this question. Most recently, the Foreign Secretary answered it here. And I have nothing new to add to the matter. As regards, I'm not going to get into comments of a visiting leader. I don't know in what context it was made. If there is a visit to Ukraine from any leader here, we'll certainly announce that. Our position on the conflict in Ukraine has been articulated many times. I don't know, the word is unbalanced is not something that we have worked with. We certainly have worked towards peace, and I think that's what dialogue and diplomacy is what we've been stressing. So if there is a visit or anything like that, I will certainly share that, but I don't want to respond to a specific word or without knowing the full context. As regards प्रणय, आपका प्रश्न था डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन भी, उसी में उसके हमने उसमें जिक्र किया था कि हम असिस्टेंस दे सकते हैं, मेडिसिन, मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट वगैरह. हमने हमारे जो प्रेस रिलीज की बात कर रहा हूँ, और उसमें हमने इस बारे में बात की थी कि हमारे इस तरह से स्ट्रेंथन कर सकते हैं कोऑपरेशन यूक्रेन के साथ. पर मेरे पास अभी इमीडिएट डिफेंस सेक्टर में हम क्या करने वाले हैं या कर सकते हैं, इसके बारे में कोई ऐसा अपडेट है नहीं. पर काफी हमारा डीप कोऑपरेशन रहा है और उसके काफी एलिमेंट्स उस प्रेस रिलीज में है. पेंटागन पेपर्स, लेट मी स्टार्ट विद दैट. आपका जो क्वेश्चन था, मैंने कुछ देखा नहीं है उस पेपर्स के बारे में, ना कोई इंडिया के बारे में कोई जिक्र है मुझे इतना दूर मालूम है, तो इसीलिए अभी मेरे पास कोई कमेंट नहीं है उसके बारे में. Sridhar, you asked about charges on the Indians detained in Qatar. My understanding is the charges have not been unsealed. It's not yet public, but as the legal process unfolds, perhaps they will be. We're keeping an eye out on that. Manas, your question was regarding a media report regarding the UN Democracy Fund. You mentioned something about George Soros. I don't want to get into exactly what the report, there were a couple of reports, but let me just make a larger point, which you are saying about dealing with organizations of George Soros versus UN Democracy Fund. I think these are separate issues, and I think there's been a attempt to mix all this and have perhaps a misleading image of the overall situation. So let me clarify. One, as a responsible member of the UN, India participates in and promotes various UN activities. This includes contributing to a number of voluntary funds and programs of the UN. The UN Democracy Fund, the UNDEF that you referred to, is one of them. Incidentally, this fund, this UN Democracy Fund, receives funding from, I think, nearly 45 member states, including, of course, India that you referred to. Now, UNDEF allocates the funds received to numerous projects across the world, projects being executed by various organizations. And in this process, it is guided by UN norms and procedures. So, as I said, these funds are allocated for various projects and across the world, and then various organizations implement this. So that's our contribution and participation in the UN UNDEF advisory board or UN UNDEF organization itself. Now, there are comments also related to, as you said, George Soros, etc. And I remember in the report there was some reference to EM's comments. Look, on the EM's comments, I think they stand on their own merits, and I certainly wouldn't, I don't think they require any clarification. All I would say is EM's main point was that democracy or people's verdict in democracies must be respected, not undermined. And this important principle should not be obfuscated. And if I remember, the other last element was Soros' organization related to those OSF, I think it was, the Open Society Foundation, are not being allowed to send money here. Look, that's a completely different issue. Insofar as any regulatory action is against any institution sending money to India is concerned, these are governed by our rules and regulations. And where necessary, relevant agencies take suitable measures as per the law. So I think these are three separate elements, and I thought I'll explain it at length on that. Okay, thank you very much for joining. Good afternoon.